welcome back to another episode of Crafting with Lisa and Pixie. Today what we'd like to do is show you a product review on this Tasty by Wilton. They make several different boxes. This one is a cookie kit. It's a succulent garden cookie kit, and it's supposed to have everything in it for you to make that delicious looking cookie. All right, so Pixie, are you excited? You super excited? Because I am too. Let's show them how to do it. Okay, let's get started by opening the box and seeing what all is included in our kit. Okay, so we have some ready-to-use chocolate. Looks like this will be the dirt. We have some dark green fondant and some bright green fondant. Okay. We have some chocolate sprinkles. Looks like it's going to be the dirt. And then this is our cookie, ready to go. All right, so we have our instructions here. So we have a very nice step-by-step instruction card with visuals and instructions all the way through the decorated phase. So that's a nice plus. Okay, also they have given little cookie cutters, little round cutters. This looks like a leaf and another leaf. Okay, so it's got a few nice little items in here that can be reused. It's also a leaf. Okay. All right, so just in case, I have some extra fondant that I had in the cabinet. I also have some pink because sometimes some of the succulents with the pink tips are really cute. The other extras that I have is this is just like a little spatula. You don't have to have this. You could have even just a butter knife, but this I have a feeling is going to make getting into those corners kind of easy. Another thing I just got was these little silicone forms for succulents, and I was playing around with clay with them, but they can also be used for fondant, so I might use a couple of those and just see how well they work in this video. Okay, the first thing the instruction says to do is cut your cardboard into a strip and then place your C panel over the strip. So let's do that. Let's see, this is the C panel. Okay. So I'm gonna lay these to the side. I'm gonna take my scissors. Looks like it'd be about right here. I'm just gonna cut this strip halfway from that side and halfway from this side. Okay, instruction number 1, cut and put on panel. All right, pipe icing along edges of panel C. All right, so I'm gonna open this. Let's see, all right. I'm gonna kind of smush the icing towards the top. And it says to put them along the edges, so come on. Okay, I guess you've got to cut this. Instructions didn't say that. Let's cut the tip off. All right, now we have action. Okay, so we're going to squeeze. Squeeze an ample amount of icing along the side. And I'm not going to stop filming because this might happen to you, and then you need to know what to do with it. So all I'm going to do is put it back where it belongs and kind of work with it a little bit to get it soft and sticky. I don't know if maybe because it's a little cool in here this morning that it's not as sticky as it needs to be. But I'm just going to kind of work with it and make sure it's stuck to the side. And like I said, you don't have to have this tool. You could even have a butter knife. All right. So now I'm going to go for the other side. And this time, to make sure that it sticks, I'm going to apply a little downward pressure. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. So I'm almost forcing it onto the side of the cookie. Okay, obviously better. But I'm just going to make sure. Yeah, it's a lot better. Okay, so that was obviously the better technique. Okay, then it says attach your B panels to the side. So these are the B panels. And obviously we want to put the wood grains outward. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. And it is a little shaky, so I'm just going to hang on to it while I pipe this other edge. It says to pipe now on the outside, so I'm really forcing it onto that cookie. And it also needs to come up this edge. So up and down on this edge. So we're just using this icing mostly as glue, sticking it shut. I guess the same premise as a gingerbread house. You just want to make sure you have enough to fill in the gaps. It's looking like over here I've got a little gap, so fill in with that. Alright. Okay, I'm going to slide it around, and I can actually see down in the bottom there. Okay, it's making a better fit. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is the same over here. Run the bead down the edge, across the side, obviously some more down here. Get that to stick a little better. Alright, and down this edge. Alright, let's see if we can get this one to stick. Oh yes, okay, so the more icing, the better. I actually think I'm going to take it off of that, because that is making it hard for it to stick. Okay, so now that I've got the basic box made. Okay, so once you have your box stuck pretty well together, then what we're going to do is, the instructions say let dry for 4 hours. So we're going to let it dry for 4 hours. All right, while the box is setting up drying, I've got some confectioner's sugar here. So I'm going to sprinkle the work area with that so that we can roll out some fondant. All right. Let's open up one of our fondants here and see what we got. This one says bright green, which is very green. Okay, so the best way to do fondant is to just knead, just like Play-Doh. See how it's kind of crackly to begin with? The more you mess with it, the better it gets. So just keep kneading and rolling and pinching until you get it nice and soft and pliable. So you can see the more that you work with it, the better off it's getting. So you can push it flat, fold it over, just keep kneading it and kneading it, just like you would Play-Doh. Any kind of dough, I guess. All right. So we're gonna lay it down on top of the confectioner's sugar. Get our rolling pin. All right. Some of this on our rolling pin. All right. So we're just gonna kind of roll it out, not too flat, maybe 1/4 of an inch. All right. Then they gave us these handy dandy little cutters. So you can see here on the instructions, it tells you exactly to do that. We're going to cut some of these out, lay them side by side, and roll them into succulents. So let's see how that works. I'm going to just roll them out a little bit flatter. Okay. All right. And so we're cutting So they say to overlap the edges. All right. Don't worry about the sugar getting on there because you can just brush it off. All right, and then what it's showing is to gently twirl them together, and it comes up with a nice little succulent on the top. The only problem is I've got a ton of sugar, so I'm gonna have to take a brush and brush that away. But that turns out kind of cute. Okay, so then you just pinch the bottom and you've still got some left. So that's a nice little succulent there. We'll put that one there. Okay, I'm gonna rework this. I just think I've got way too much sugar, so I'm gonna make sure that the area is kind of dry, but not, I don't need so much sugar. All right, so once we rework this again, and remember too, the more sugar you use and the more you keep doing this, it's going to get drier and drier. So, all right, I'm gonna roll this back out again. Okay, I'm gonna try this little leaf one. So I think it's the same kind of idea. You're cutting and then layering them. So what the picture shows it's kind of layering them like this. So you can see when you roll them up, what's going to happen is you're going to have all the tips at the top. It's going to look kind of cool. So as I'm layering these here, I'm kind of pushing it into the next one so that it's sticking. Lay it down and push. Lay it down and push. Okay. So then I'm going to start from this side and just kind of roll and push everything together. And then what I come up with is something very similar to that. All right, I'm going to open up the second kind of pull the wrapper of green. It's a darker green, want, but yes, it does look like a succulent. Going to take so you obviously have too much this way. So you I have another succulent off. Form here. Keep this together. Like there's another succulent. So I'm going to stick it right down in. What I really wanted to see was just really kind of push it in, shove it in as far as it'll go. My little succulent. Make sure that it's filling the whole mold. Silicone form. I want to get it all the way down in. Looks like it is, and then roll it this way to bring the form back. And also, got to stick this in the freezer for just about 1 minute. Down inside the silicone form. Keep pushing to make sure that you get it all down in the little cracks and crevices. Then you can see there's too much over the top, so I'm going to pinch that off at the top. We don't need that much even. Keep pushing and pushing. Okay, it looks like it's all down in there. Now that we've pushed everything in, what I'm also going to do is take and roll it back a little bit so that it's not completely out of form. Freezer for just about 1 minute. Okay, I'm still kind of looking at the box, and the box is showing this succulent kind of coming down like it's a little vine. So I'm going to go ahead and make some of those too while our planter is setting up still. I've never made one of these before, so I'm just watching it, but it says to sit it out for 4 hours, so I'm trying not to touch it. Because every time I touch it, it does want to fall apart. All right, so I'm going to cut some of these small leaves. and just set them to the side so that later on I can put them on the side of my succulent box with a little bit of icing. Those look really cute, like a vine. All right, so once you cut those, you just sit them all over to the edge. Because when we get ready to, we will put those on our vine. There actually is quite a bit of fondant included in this kit. I really thought that there was not going to be, so I got some extra, but turns out you really don't need it. Alright, and you can just keep working this fondant as long as your surface is non-sticky. You can go ahead and work this surface. You can roll it up and roll it out as many times as you need to. So I'm going to cut some bigger leaves out as well, so that I'll have some leaves to roll up. Okay, and I want to try this round cutter right here too. So let me get all of my fondant left. You can see I've already cut 2 succulents out. All these little leaves, the big leaves, still got this much fondant left, and it's not a huge cookie. So okay, the succulents have been in the freezer for about a minute for you to work with. Look how cute and pretty that is when you pull it out. Very realistic looking. You can see you can just ball it up, roll it out again and again and again until you get it gently pulling away. But because it was in the freezer for a few minutes, all these little circles should just pop right out. Make another little succulent. Oh, there you little booger. So, easiest way to do it is to line them up. Press one into the other as you line them up. Pretty cute, but I do love this one best. That's a really nice little one. And the more, all right, so I'm going to use that again. Succulent will be. And this time I'm going to put in the dark. So we're going to start as opposed to the light and gently roll. I'm also trying to pinch this end. You want to push it as far down this end open succulent mold as you can. More like an open flower. Even against the table, just nice push, 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 make sure it's in every little crevice. It is completely doable with this kit. And then when you're done, gently roll the sides to bring it back into shape. And you want to pop that back in the freezer for about 1 minute. And again, you can get these succulent molds. I think I got a set of 5. This one is a cactus, this one is succulents, these 2 are succulents, I believe these are succulents also. But you can get them in little packages. These 5 came in a package for like $7 or $8 from Amazon next day. So they are super cute. Let me just pop this in the freezer for a second. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make some succulents out of the dark green. So same thing, just keep working it till it's nice and pliable. Roll it out. And get it about 1/4 of an inch thick, maybe even thinner. Not quite as thin as paper, but all right. And then we'll go ahead and cut out some of these. All right, so I just pulled this one out of the mold, and it is super cute too. These just make them more realistic looking. So I mean, this is the silicone mold and this is what we made, but either one is fine. You know,
Put them
if
in
you're
a
going to be
line,
picky,
push
you
and
can
press.
do these because they're prettier, but
Press.
either way. So you don't have to have any
Press.
extra
And then
molds
I
or
can
anything like
roll
that,
this
but I'm
up.
kind of glad I do because it's just cool. So now I'm going to try these two
Roll it
molds.
up.
Makes a nice little
I don't
succulent.
think I've
And
ever
just
tried
brush
these
the powder
before,
off,
so
the powdered
I'm gonna
sugar.
shove the fondant
As deep down in there as it'll go. Pushing, getting it down
Line this
into
up.
every little crevice.
push and press.
Keep adding more if it keeps disappearing.
Press.
All right, once you've got it pushed
Press
all
and
the way
roll.
down in,
Roll this next succulent.
then roll it a little bit to bring it back to its shape.
Again.
Cute little
And the same
succulents,
thing
easy
here.
to do. I'm gonna pinch off a glob of fondant,
Okay,
put it
and I'll
down in
leave
my
those over
silicone
there.
mold. Push, push.
Push.
I'm gonna get out the succulent out of the freezer and see how it turned out. Just keep pushing. All right, I just took this dough. Push, push, push. Okay, when you're done, roll it back into form. And then we're gonna stick both of these in the freezer for just 1 minute. All right, I've got the last of my silicone molds in the freezer. So I just pulled these out of the freezer. The last of my. I'm gonna go ahead and pop back and just pull out
last
gently
of my fondant
the little
here.
succulent flowers.
So I'm gonna make a couple of small succulents.
Super easy to use.
I know I made some leaves a
And
minute
especially
ago.
when they get nice and cold. So they just pop right out. I'm gonna say that, it's not gonna pop right out.
Same thing I did with the circles.
Oop,
Put them in a
that one's a
line and
bust.
kind of press them into each other.
All right, let's try this one. You want to loosen the mold around it, and then kind of press and pull.
Press. And then when I start rolling them,
Okay, that one kind of came out.
Roll and press.
It's not fantastic, but it's okay.
So you got another tiny succulent
All right,
there.
let's see what this one
Looks like a
has
little
in
aloe
store.
plant. All right, so I'm just going to keep repeating this process
Press,
until I've used all my
pull,
fondant.
press. Shake gently.
And then I'll have plenty of succulents to go
Yeah,
on my cookie.
I'm totally impressed with that because I think the rolling one made it better.
So again,
So, what I'm gonna do
lay and press,
is take these two that were kind of a bust,
lay and press,
and I'm gonna roll them back out and make flat leaves with them again.
press, lay and press, and then start rolling and
All right.
pressing.
I kind of like this one best.
Rolling and pressing. So
All
I'm
right.
going to make the
So we have
rest of
another-
these.
And the whole time we're just really waiting on this cookie over here to the icing to dry to hold it together good. So again, you're putting these in a line and pressing them down into the each one before them. Then when you start rolling, you roll and press, and you can see it making a nice little succulent right there. And the more you press together down here, you can also pinch that extra off. And see, I still have this much fondant. So I think what I'm gonna do is with these leaves, I'm gonna wanna make this little thing coming down the side. So I'm also gonna make a little, a vine. So I'm gonna use the last of my fondant, get it pliable again, and make a little rope. For it. So you can see it's just like clay or Play-Doh. you can use it exactly the same way. So what I'll do is I'll just get this ready, and I'll make a little vine coming down here to put the leaves on it. I'm also left over with this much of the dark fondant, so I think I might make a few more of these succulents, and I'll do that while the cookie is still drying. All right, now that the box has dried for 4 hours, we're gonna flip it over, because this is where we're going to do our landscape. So I'm just gonna get rid of any extra chocolate that might be hanging around in the front just for presentation. Okay, and then our handy dandy instructions tell us to begin piping brown icing over the top cookie and then immediately sprinkle with the brown sprinkles. All right, so let's get busy doing that. Make sure I'm getting it all squeezed up to the edge, kind of rolling it up to make sure that I can get it all out of there. So we're going to go back and forth. All right, so you can see I'm down to the very, very last of the fondant. So I'm gonna put these in a line and stick and press. So you can see that it's popping, the bag is popped a little bit here. And roll this last. So I'm just gonna keep squeezing until I get all this chocolate out. All right, you know what? I think I'm gonna do. All right, so now we're ready. We're just waiting on our cookie to dry, and I think what I'm going to do is just cut this off because there's already a hole in the bag. I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze the rest of this chocolate out. Because then what I'm going to do is use my little spatula here, which you could use a butter knife even if you wanted to. And go ahead and just spread the chocolate dirt. Just spread it all over the top of this cookie. Being careful with it though so the cookie doesn't come apart. You need to really let it dry good and put ample amounts on when you put your cookie together so that it will dry and stick together. Alright, so we've got our dirt. And to be honest with you, I was a little worried that there wasn't going to be enough product in these things, but there really is. So don't be worried about that. Alright, so now that I've got our dirt all the way across our planter, it says to immediately sprinkle the sprinkles while it's still wet. So I'm going to go ahead and clip the top of my sprinkles. And I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle them directly on our dirt. Some are sticking, some are falling off. So I'm going to try and help them stick by gently pressing them into the chocolate icing. And again, this chocolate icing it's not super sticky where it's wanting to stick to my hands, but it's firm, it's kind of easy to work with. So being able to stick these to the dirt is working. All right, go ahead and get rid of the rest of those. Okay, perfect. So now we've got our little planter box with our chocolate and our dirt. All right, so now what we're gonna start doing is putting our succulents in. So gently but firmly, I'm pressing them into our chocolate. Just picking them up and pressing them in. You can see it making a nice little presentation. This is really cute. right, so I'm gonna go on this side, put some towards the back. All right. Okay, now I think I'm gonna work on the little vine that comes down. Now that I've got some of the succulents in, while this vine was sitting here, it got kind of hard and dry. So I'm gonna rework it just a little bit. See how crumbly it got? So the warmth of your hands makes a big difference. And also just kneading it and working it. Just kind of over and over and over in your fingers again. Obviously you wanna make sure that your hands are clean. Okay, so what I'm gonna do with this now that I've got it pliable again is to roll it out into like a little spindly vine. Okay. All right, so now that I've got it long, I think that I'm gonna roll it up on the end. Okay, so I'm gonna work on a little bit of the vine coming down, rolling. So I'm gonna rework this just a little bit because it's kind of hard. Just a little bit while it was sitting there drying. What I'll do is stick this gently in the. So the warmth of your hands and just the kneading it back and forth will loosen it up a little bit. All right. And then what I want to do is make just a small, kind of a squiggly vine that I can stick my, attach my fondant to. Okay, now that I've got some of the succulents sat in here, I'm gonna work with my little piece of clay. While it was sitting here, shaped in the shape of a vine, it got kind of dry. So I'm gonna rework it a little bit. And you can see just the heat of your hands and working with it makes it pliable again. So what I'm gonna do is roll it out to be a little vine-like. All right, and then I'm gonna just give it a little curly cue on the end here, and that's gonna be enough to stick it into the chocolate dirt. All right, and then what makes fondant stick to other fondant or cookies is water. So I wet this little clean paintbrush, and I'm gonna wet this side and stick it right straight to the cookie, and that helps it adhere to the cookie. So I'm just gently pressing it in. Maybe that's not quite wet enough. Okay, I'll wet my brush again.
wet the fondant again and see if I can get it to stick to the cookie. Okay, there we go. All right, and so that's what it took, was a little extra water to get it to stick to the cookie. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is use my wet brush, and I'm gonna wet each little piece, wet the back side. I'm gonna pinch it a little bit, give it a realistic look, and stick it to the other fondant. Same thing here. Just wetting it just a little bit on the back so that you can see. Also taking my fingers and giving it a little, just a pinch. And what happens is you got a leaf pattern forming there. Also, it'll get rid of some of this sugar that's on it by wetting it. So you're just wetting the back, pinching the top, and sticking it right to the fondant. That helps it stick to itself, the wetness, the water. Again on this one. And I'll just keep layering this down. Again, there's another leaf, just wetting the back of it, and bringing it down and just pressing gently onto it. So you can see how much fondant I've still got left, and I'm building quite a little vine here. So I'll pick it up and move it closer to the cookie. You really have to be careful with the cookie itself. But you can see the little leaf pattern I got going down there. Looks really cute. So I do have a lot of extra space in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the rest of these little succulents that I made. There's a couple of small ones. Again, just pressing them gently down into the dirt. That looks really cute. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is wet these just a little bit. And also stick these, just kind of sticking up out of the chocolate. So it gives us a little taller effects. You might just want to stick some. So actually I've got all of these little leaves left over here. And I could keep embellishing. Why don't we just do that? Wet my brush again. All right, and then when you take and wet one side, actually is going to stick really good to the cookie. And this is the time to brush off any extra sugar things when the brush is clean and wet. That would be the time to do that. So all of these little leaves. So they really do give you a lot of product. I really was worried about that. I was worried about having to have extra fondant and extra molds and whatnot, but you really don't. The kit is very good, very complete. So I would highly recommend it. It would be really fun to do with your kids. I'm just kind of impatient, so the 4-hour waiting for the box to dry was driving me crazy, to be honest with you. But there we have it. Oh, wait. They did give us these little rocks. They're actually like little jelly bean candy rocks. And that will actually finish it off. Let me pull it closer here. Okay, so let's do that. I'm gonna cut the bag where I can just sprinkle out with it. Open the hole just a little bit. All right, and the same kind of thing here. You're just gonna have to keep them from kind of falling off and press them gently into the dirt.